So there is always one team that goes out there and kind of does something that's unexpected. I think Jacksonville, when they went out there and they traded up, they're like, oh, this starts the whole thing. It starts everything in motion. But the Bears might have been that everybody's going to be talking about over the next couple of days because they made a pick. It was, I think, to some people controversial, to some people unexpected, but to me, and anybody who's followed this show, who's watched me on NFL Network knows this was a player that I've really loved over the last couple of weeks. And you know what? Let's talk about it. So, Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Thursday night, day one of the NFL draft, and the Chicago Bears perhaps shocked the world when they drafted Colston Loveland with the 10th overall selection. I think a lot of people anticipated the Bears at this point looking at a tight end. Tyler Warren was sitting there, but instead they went out there and they drafted Colston Loveland. And for me, I think a lot of people, looking at some of the comments of the people who put out, who responded to our one word, and I'm looking for my phone because Sammy's going to get mad that I'm not retweeting this. The one word, and people are like embarrassment. What's funny to me is the people who call this an embarrassment or who think, like, I saw somebody compare it to Adam Shaheen. You got to be kidding me. This is an absolute. Colston Loveland is not some Division II guy that's a trade C guy that nobody's ever heard of. Colston Loveland, and I said this a couple of days ago. As a matter of fact, I was on with the Marquee Sports Network. I said that he was actually, I felt like he was a better player for the Bears. And I still feel that way. And I'm still looking for the thing to tweet out. Hold on. But I thought it was I thought this was the pick. Because when you look at it, if you go to NFL.com and you go look at what we got with Lance Zierlein, he's making comparisons to player. He's doing the scouting reports. Oh, guess who the pro comp to Colston Loveland is? It's Sam Laporta. Perhaps you've heard of him. So it makes a lot of sense. This is an absolute Ben Johnson pick. And this is the kind of guy that Ben Johnson wants for his offense, somebody who will go out there and stretch the field. He is our Sam Laporta. He is our Brock Bowers. He is somebody he's probably not going to spend a lot of time blocking. But at the same time, he's a great pass catcher. And a lot of people considered Colston Loveland to be the best pass catcher in the entirety of the NFL draft. Now, obviously, Tate McMillan went somewhere. I think he went 9. I think he went to Carolina. No, he went 8 to Carolina. Matthew Golden's another great pass catcher, too. And, of course, Ty Warren, a lot of people are going to have some regard for him. And Ty Warren ends up going number 14 to the Indianapolis Colts. To me, the Bears drafted the best guy. And I think that a lot of times when people get consensus, and I was on with Scott Bair and Carmen Vitale, and a lot of people, I think Daniel Jeremiah had Tyler Warren. Carmen had Tyler Warren. It didn't make sense. It really didn't. If you see the comp with Colston Loveland, and again, like you can even think about Travis Kelce in a way too. And think about this. Michigan doesn't run the ball or doesn't throw the ball as much as some of these other teams. So he's coming into a situation where he obviously has proved himself as a pass catcher. And I'm sitting here watching his highlights right now. He is a great player who really probably didn't get the opportunity to truly showcase his talents. And if you want to sit here and you want to knock it and you want to and even if you wanted to compare it to somebody like Kyle Pitts, I mean, if that's the way, if you're trying to be a hater and you're trying to be a contrarian and you're trying to go in that direction, Kyle Pitts would be the best thing. But remember, Kyle Pitts had 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie season. And for me, you look at Colston Loveland, there's the replacement for Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is still unsigned. He's not likely to return to the Chicago Bears. They needed somebody to go out there and play in the slot. And I know, and when you look at the receiver room, I think this is one of the best moves I think that they can make. It makes so much sense for the Chicago Bears. And I will say it too. Like, I was sitting here the other night. It was Wednesday. It was last night. Actually, it was Wednesday. Last night with Greg Braggs. We were sitting here and I was talking about being trench drunk. I wanted Mason Graham to fall. I wanted Kelvin Banks. All the tackles went. Will Campbell Jr. was gone. Membu was gone. Kelvin Banks gone. There's nothing you can do. This was a situation where Tyler Warren was not off the board, but still the quarterbacks were not falling off the board. So now you go out there and you're in a situation where the guys that you really wanted were gone. And to me, I was a big Mason Graham guy. And I even said this on the Marquee Sports Network, that this was going to be what we like. I go, don't be upset if, and I even said this to Carmen, I said, listen, if we're taking a tight end, I think the best I think the best tight end we could take would be Colston Loveland because of his ability to catch the ball. We rebuilt the offensive line. It would have been great. And listen, we can still go out there and get trench drunk over the next couple of rounds tomorrow, maybe even sneak back into the first round. I still love, and one of the guys that I'm going to be keeping an eye on as we're moving forward, I think, I don't know if Josh Simmons has been drafted yet. I don't know if, trying to figure this out, who, like, the Cardinals are on the clock right now. I still think that, Derek Harmon is a player that we could look for. I think that if Simmons falls, there's going to be some opportunities to go out there and still go after the offensive and defensive lines. But you know what? This is all about getting the most opportunity for Caleb Williams. And I think Colston Loveland was the guy. Okay, I'm going to fill here for 5 minutes. Sammy Ananello, Scott Bair's in the studio. He said maybe 5-ish minutes. And I said, that would be fine. This will be fine. Can we start taking some questions though? I want to go through this. I want to go through the anger of everybody. If we have a question or two for somebody out there, actually, I gotta blow up my screen. I can tell it's Burlissimo. Hold on. Colston, this is from Burlissimo, one of our tape experts. Colston is the tight end who is a much better piece to have as your second tight end. See if the team is in a base nickel. If in nickel, start him as an outside receiver on the boundary side, and then use him as the motion piece. And is Scott here? But I agree. I think this is the better fit. And I think that the fans who are upset with what is going on, and Scotty Bair is in, he's in Halas Hall. What is the reaction in Halas Hall? Do you get the feeling like this was a consolation prize, or do you feel like this is exactly who the Bears wanted?
I think it's option A for sure. Sorry about my audio. There's TV
You're
cameras.
Great. No, you're great.
But yeah, if you look at that live shot of the Bears war room right after the pick, it wasn't a lot of high fives, and they were trying to move up. I think they were trying to go up and get Boise State running back Ashton Jainty. Were not able to do it and reach that deal with Cleveland to draft him before the Las Vegas Raiders took him. So I think ultimately that's what they wanted to do. I wouldn't say Colston Loveland is a consolation prize necessarily, but their first objective didn't really work out. Just got out of a conversation with Senior Director of Player Personnel, Jeff King, and he did say that Ben Johnson was pushing for lots of players. Colston Loveland was definitely one of them. He talked a lot about his fit within this offense and his fit within the Cole Kmetness of it all. They're going to play lots of 12 personnel, and they also said that they looked very hard at Tyler Warren, somebody that I've talked about extensively on your show and when you were on mine, and about why they chose Loveland over Warren. And what Jeff King said was it was about, and I quote, alignment with the coaching staff, alignment with the scouting staff, and what the Bears want to do schematically with this particular player, which is going to be less blocking, more a part of the receiving game, and that they do believe that Kmet and Loveland can work well together.
Yeah, I think, and as a matter of fact, we were talking about this on Tuesday because Carmen had Tyler Warren going to the Bears with their pick. And I even mentioned, and I threw this in because you guys were grilling me because I love Mason Graham. And I was still, until the bitter end, I was still hoping that Mason Graham was going to be the guy. And then I mentioned Colston Loveland. And I said, I understand that I'm coming off as somebody who loves Michigan. I'm not a Michigan fan, but I am a fan of that program and what they've been able to do. And I saw some guy on Twitter, and this is the worst thing to do, is like, he compared it to Adam Shaheen, and I'm like, it's not even in the same stratosphere as Adam Shaheen, because Lance Zierlein gave a pro comp to Colston Loveland, and guess who it was? Sam Laporta. So wow. It really checks a lot of boxes that this is the player that Ben Johnson would want.
Yeah, and we actually just got off of a conference call with Colston Loveland, and I guess he first met Ben Johnson at Michigan's Pro Day, and one of Ben Johnson's first questions was which tight ends do you like to watch from the NFL? Now, Colston Loveland, not a stupid guy, said Sam Laporta. And Ben Johnson actually said, I'm glad that you brought that name up because I feel like you can do a lot of the same things that Sam Laporta did with the Lions. If you're a Colston Loveland, if you're a Bears fan, you like that. And that's clearly what Ben Johnson was looking for here. And it's tough because when you go through the pre-draft process, and we've talked about this before, it can be a bit of an echo chamber. And once Tyler Warren gets put on top of the rankings and you don't get the guy that was on top of the rankings, failure, right? Because I know the fan base is confused, a little upset, especially with Tyler Warren still on the board and their needs at offensive line and edge rusher. But to hear Colston Loveland say that, also a small tidbit from that conference call is that Caleb Williams called him immediately after the pick was made, and they had a little conversation. He's actually in his hometown in Idaho. And he and Caleb Williams got a chance to talk. It seemed like it was a good conversation. I think that's just good leadership there. For Caleb to immediately call, to immediately want to reach out to this guy and start building that relationship. Because of the shoulder injury, he might not get out on the field until training camp, but you still got to build that rapport between quarterback and tight end.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, watching the reaction to it. And seeing people like, oh, the Bears are going to bear and embarrassing and all that stuff. You know what? Hey, when the Lions moved down for Jahmyr Gibbs and did all that stuff, like the same thing happened. I remember, like, you've been in the NFL for a long time. You're working for the Falcons at the time. You remember the heat the Lions got. Like, what are they doing drafting Jahmyr Gibbs? Nobody questions that pick anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember being in Flowery Branch, Georgia, and they thought they were pulling a fast one on everybody, that nobody thought they were going to take Bijan Robinson, right? And then they ultimately did, and that pick was lauded. But again, according to the rankings, right, that the difference between Gibbs and Robinson was big enough for that Gibbs pick to be panned a little bit. Let's go back to our pal Daniel Jeremiah's prospect rankings. Okay, Tyler Warren is 7th. Colston Loveland is 8th. We're not talking about 7th and 25th, 7th and 30th, 7th and 15th. We're talking about 7th and 8th, which to me basically says, do you like chocolate or vanilla ice cream? Right?
Exactly.
Ice cream is awesome both ways. Just pick your flavor. And that's what I think Ben Johnson was able to do. I also think, look, they need a tight end because of what they do with tight ends, but this is a small kind of piece of the fact that Ben Johnson does have a loud voice in the draft room. I think that Ryan Poles gives that to him, of course, but I think this speaks to Ben, coaches, what do you need? And I think that we're going to see that as this draft progresses. Coaches, what do you need? How can we deliver that for you? So yeah, they got, Loveland, again, the history of taking tight ends in the top 10, not super great. But nonetheless, this is a pick that I think deserves further analysis and consideration before we assume that it sucks. I think for all the reasons that we're talking about, it can be a good one because, again, it's more about fit than anything else, right? And if Ben Johnson can identify the traits to turn Colston Loveland into a Sam Laporta type, and it costs the number 10 overall pick, I think Bears fans would take that. And I think Ben Johnson is owed the level of trust and grace to be able to show the fans that he can deliver.
Yeah, it's like all the fans were sitting here hoping that we were going to go to Giordano's and Ben Johnson had the final say and said, no, we're going to Geno's East, and you're all going to love it, or Lou Malnati's, and you're like, oh yeah, this was pretty good. All right, yeah, this wasn't my first choice. And like you said, like if you were on board with the Chicago Bears drafting Tyler Warren, then there's no reason not to be on board with Colston Loveland, because, and a lot of people, Bellissimo said it, Sammy's buddy backstage has been saying it, like, this is the better player. And I really believe that when we look back on this, 5 years down, and not that Tyler Warren's going to be a bad player, but you're like, oh yeah, they did all right. I do hate to bring it up because people are like Adam Shaheen. I go, if you want to bring up something where, if you wanted to pan this pig, like Kyle Pitts, I guess would be if you wanted a cautionary tale, Kyle Pitts, who went 4th overall when you were there in Atlanta, but Kyle Pitts still had 1,000 receiving yards during his rookie season. I'm still going to talk myself into drafting him in fantasy. So I still don't think it's a terrible pick. I think Kyle Pitts is still a good player. And I think if that's the floor for Colston Loveland, I think the Bears did all right.
Yeah. And again, it was one of those things that we saw reports earlier in the day about the Bears making phone calls to move up. The making phone calls tweets are always funny to me. Everyone's talking to everyone. That's not unique to one team, but the Bears were actively trying to gauge how much it was going to cost to move up. And Ryan Poles talked about that possibility. And he said, it's all about the value that you're going to get. Obviously they were trying to go up to 5 and they were trying to get ahead of the Raiders to get Jainty, but at what cost? We saw, and I know going from 5 to 2 is a lot of points, but look at what the Browns got back. They didn't get Travis Hunter, but they need so many pieces that they got another 1st-round draft pick. They got a lot of capital there. So it's about understanding what's non-negotiable. Where's your line in the sand? And then once that happens, I don't know if at this point, if they tried to bail out of that pick or if they were happy to sit there at number 10. I do think it was interesting that Michael Williams from Georgia went to the 49ers right afterward, a really good player there. And Tyler Warren ends up with the Colts at number 15. Kind of interesting spot there. Not a great quarterback situation, but I think going back to Loveland, I think they have a good quarterback situation. They have a good line situation. They have a guy named Durham Smythe, who fans may not know, but is a good, solid blocker. And that can fill a role. And that's the most important thing is what role can you fill in this offense? And now the offense has the number 10 overall pick, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, who knows who else they're going to draft, and Cole Kmet, who I will continue to say this and write this and put it out there on social media, man. He's not going away. He will not become insignificant in this offense. He's not going to have 90 targets like he did when he was Justin Fields' only option a couple years ago. It's going to be different, but he's going to be involved, and he'll definitely be involved as his contract goes. They have an out after 2025. I don't think that means that they're going to take it. I think, again, we just need to let this thing play out and trust that even in Detroit, they use lots of 12 personnel, use lots of 2 tight ends. This can work. And again, just look at Ben Johnson's track record as an offensive play caller. Think about that and think about his influence in making this pick. And again, we just got to give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, I would implore anybody who has been excited that Ben Johnson is the head coach. I'm sorry, I still have scrunchies on I was at soccer practice earlier. I always have to bring like extra scrunchies because, there'll be at least 2 girls who are like, oh, I forgot something for me. Like, I got you. And it's always my daughter. She knows. She just knows now. But I think if anybody is in favor of Ben Johnson, if you're happy that Ben Johnson is our coach, you got to let him cook. And you got to let him go out there and kind of dictate the kind of players that he wants. And Ben Johnson was very upfront when he came out during the hiring process or right after he was hired and said, listen, we're going to tailor our offense to our personnel. Like it's not everything's a 1-for-1. Like this is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs and this is Amon-Ra St. Brown. But at the same time, if you like certain types of players and that player is afforded to you, you go out and you do it. And I think it's going to be pretty good. Moving forward, though, what do you think with the Bears? I know, like they're on the phones now. Do you think that there's anybody else on the board that they're looking at? Like, you know what? Maybe we'll try to sneak back in to this first round.
I've been thinking about that because the 5th-year option is so valuable. especially if a player works out. But I don't think that that's going to be like, now I kind of feel like they're going to take the swings that they've got. And I'm sure as I'm saying that, they just traded up to 20 or something like that. But nonetheless, I think now with the needs that they have, it's about taking good swings at 39 and 41. I haven't been following the board the board real close, but kind of day 2, maybe end of day 1 guys are Oregon offensive tackle Josh Connerly. I know that you brought up Josh Simmons. Texas A&M edge rusher Nick Scourton. That there's lots of quality that you can get at 39 and 41. And if I'm playing GM, I want to take those 2 swings early than trying to trade up to 31 or 28 or something like that, just to get back into it. I think I'd rather have 2 swings rather than 1.
Yeah, when you're looking at the big board of guys who are still available now, obviously there's 2 corners again. If we were talking about on your show on Tuesday, and by the way, anybody who's unaware, Scott Bair does a podcast every week with Carmen Vitale for the Marquee Sports Network, and obviously there's going to be a lot of great content coming out from our friends at the Marquee Sports Network. Did you just text me?
Yeah, because
you got to go. You can just say you got to go in a few minutes. We're informal here.
A television.
We're informal here. No. Listen, don't. I'm sorry. Justin will get mad. Be like, hey, listen. Like you act like a professional. Rank is not a professional. He'll just do whatever. I do this on the air. I will just be like, I gotta go, guys. Sorry, Ian. I'll let you get out of here. I will just tell you, Will Johnson's still out there. Again, I am so involved with Michigan. I do not root for Michigan. I love Will Johnson as well.
They are sending you checks, right? Venmos just directly into your.
They're doing
there.
it.
Hey,
but real quick,
looking out.
Yeah. Well, I know you got to go. Tell everybody what you're working on, where they can find you. Plug everything you need to go so Justin feels like I'm doing right by you. What do we got going on?
Yeah, well, Scott Bair NFL on every social media platform, including the ones that I hate. And then MarqueeSportsNetwork.com. We're going to have tons of stories about Colston Loveland and breaking down the analysis. So you can hear from Ryan Poles on our social channels, or just do the right thing and download the Watch Marquee Sports Network app. You get written, video, Bears on the Marquee podcast, everything right in one spot. Do it, download it right to your phone.
Okay. Go do your thing. Say hello to everybody out there in Chicago for me. If you see Joniak, tell him I said what's up. Although I think he's probably at the stadium. In any event, Scott Bair, thank you so much for joining us here. And then I'm sure I'll be back on the Bears on the Marquee at some point. And then I'm going to make Justin put you on again real soon. So we'll see you soon. Have fun. It's a great night. And let everybody know that Rank thinks this is a great pick.
100% will do. See you,
All
man.
right. Thank you. There he goes. The great Scott Bair of the Marquee Sports Network. You're going to be seeing a lot of him. So get used to it. Again, everything. I love that he was able to come in here and kind of clarify everything that people are, they're wondering about. Listen, the Bears are obviously they're on board with it because they made the pick. But at the same, Gray Zabel goes. Damn it! I would have loved that. What a great pick for Seattle. Good for them. I thought that they were going to go with the wide receiver, another slot receiver. They're going to go with the Ohio State guy. But as we're sitting here looking at some of the best names that are still on the board, as we're starting to think about the second round, I know we've still got. We're going up to pick 19 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. There's still a lot of ball game left before we'll start seeing some things. But Judea Barron is still available, obviously. Jahad Campbell, Omar Hampton. Hampton, again, you know what? If he falls in the second round, there's a guy who could a long way to go. Matthew Golden, probably not going to go right there, but Nick Emanwari, and Starks, right? Malachi Starks has not been drafted yet, if I'm not thinking. And I'm also telling you, this is a name to remember. Listen, you guys who've been following along with me, you know that I said, watch out for Colston Loveland. You know this. We're feeling good about this. Cole Kmet is not on the trade block. Scott was very implicit. He is not on the trade block. You're going to be fine. I'm going to go, hold on. I want to go through Daniel Jeremiah's top Daniel Jeremiah, big board, top 50. I want to go through some of this too. Daniel, the top 150 prospects. Okay, listen. So we're looking at, obviously, Travis Hunter was the top guy off the board. Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty. Got to get down a little bit too. When we're looking, so Carson's, okay, so some names I've given you. Is it Derek Harmon? Harmon, it is Derek Harmon. Okay, so here's a couple of names that I've given you over the last couple of weeks. Let's see if they don't get drafted tonight. These are going to be guys that we're going to be looking at. I guarantee you. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon, is a guy that we could look at over the next couple of weeks. Malachi Starks, a Georgia safety. Again, Jaquan Brisker likely to come back, but I think that's a player that could be a guy that we look at. Derek Harmon's let's be honest. When Derek Harmon is drafted by the Ravens, you'll be like, oh, that's how you know he's good, if he's drafted by the Ravens. But Malachi Starks is somebody, obviously, Gray Zabel's gone by. A lot of these guys, I'm just looking through. So obviously we don't need Mason Taylor anymore. I'm curious if the Chargers take Mason Taylor. I'll be trading on that for years. Donovan from Boston College is a guy. Trayvon Henderson. Trey Henderson could be a guy that we're looking at in the next rounds. James Pierce Jr. Another guy. James Pierce Jr. is a player who, you know what, if he wasn't in trouble, might have been the first defensive player. Not the first defensive player off the board. Could have been a top 10 guy, but he did not go. Maxwell Hairston. We're probably not going to go for Luther Burden now. I think getting Colston Loveland pretty much rules him out. But Josh Simmons is another guy too. So just some names to look out there. Josh Simmons, Derek Harmon, Malachi Starks. If Will Johnson falls because he didn't run a 40, and again, I'm not trying to pick all the Michigan players. Is there any, before we go, Sammy, and I know I've kept you guys a little too long. There we go. Do we think Sanders goes in the first? Yeah, Sanders will go in the first round. I'm pretty sure. Well, here's the thing. If he goes or doesn't go to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh could end up thinking that Jackson Dart is their guy, which is fine. At some point, if somebody believes in Shedeur Sanders, they're going to move into the first round. And I think if you're the Eagles or the Chiefs or even the Lions, and you're sitting at the end of the first round and you're not in love with anybody, you're like, you know what, let's get out of here. Let's bounce. But again, as Scott was talking about, that fifth-year option means so much, but it really means a lot for the quarterback. And when you're looking at the teams, and by the way, anybody who is who's watching this show, a couple of things. Number one, go to NFL.com/IQ. NFL.com/IQ. It's a great way to follow the draft and a great way to see the big board and everything's right at your fingertips. Check that out. By the way, all the Colston Loveland cards. I said this. Man, I wanted all the Colston Loveland cards. By the way, big thanks to our friends at Windy City Sports Cards, because at Windy City Sports Cards, we specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. Whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, whomever, we have got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. This is the thing. Windy City Sports Cards got you covered. I'm going to tell you right now, go out there and get those Colston Loveland cards. And I want to start doing breaks. And if Mike and I can ever do some breaks, I want to start hunting for some Colston Loveland cards. And I cannot tell you guys enough. This is not an Adam Shaheen situation. This is a legitimate player. This could end up being our George Kittle. We've wanted that for Cole Kmet, but I really, truly believe that Colston Loveland can be that guy. He could be our Sam Laporta. He could be our Travis Kelce. We have every reason in the world to believe that he is going to be a great player. I will tell you as well. I'm going to go eat dinner, and I'm going to be back, not here, but if you follow me on Instagram, and on Instagram, I'm at Adam Rank NFL. Oh, so the Amika does go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Instagram and TikTok. I will be on both platforms later on tonight, talking about all this stuff, having a good time, probably after Bears live coverage of Bears draft on YouTube tonight. Thank you, Adam. Hair Bear, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. I could actually, it's funny. Don't tell Sammy. I could actually go live on my phone from YouTube if I wanted to. But why don't we pivot? Look for me on Instagram. Look for me on TikTok this evening. If you're on either one of those platforms, these guys have got to go to bed because it is late on the East Coast for them. They've got Canadians hockey to deal with. They've got other podcasts. By the way, if you're a fan of the Bear of the Browns, go check out our guy Andy McNamara, who's doing a great job covering the Browns and with his sick podcast, Cleveland Browns, with Andy McNamara. Be sure to check that out. Go to NFL.com/IQ. And again, thanks to our friends at Windy City Sports Cards. It's been a fun night. By the way, if you missed it earlier, I had a conversation with Seth Rollins, even though we know who the first pick is. If you go back to the channel, look for the Seth Rollins interview. It's 20 minutes. You got time. You got enough time between these picks. You can go watch the Seth Rollins interview, and you'll only miss 2 picks. You'll be fine. So go check that out. So Sammy and Anello, thank you guys so much for everything. Thanks to everybody who's been joining us here tonight. Really do love that you can be here. And I think this is a great pick. I know people are going to fight me for the next number of days, but believe me, this is a great pick for the Chicago Bears. It's a great night for us. And until next time, bear down. And Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.